Hello, everyone. I am Celine Calante Love of the Celine and Friends Woodling system. We are currently, as of this recording, the second place record holder for Family Dog for the Super Nintendo. With us co-hosting and helping commentate is Saria Song, who is currently, as of this recording, the world record holder for Family Dog. So we've got the top two players here, and I will let Say introduce this game for you.
Thank you so much, Celine and friends. I'm Saria. It's such an honor to be here to help out with this submission and give some commentary. I can start out by giving a little bit of information about Family Dog. It was originally a cartoon series, an adult animated sitcom that ran for a single season with 10 episodes in 1993. And a lot went into this series. It had some star power. It was created and written by Brad Bird. You know, Brad Bird from The Incredibles. At least the original short was written by Brad Bird. And its executive producers were Steven Spielberg and Tim Burton. Yeah, it was kind of a big deal, and it immediately flopped. It was just so darn cynical. Just so much misfortune and constant devastation happening to the poor cuddly main character, Jonah, the family dog. But somehow it still spawned a video game adaptation, a Super Nintendo game, which we're bringing to you today. And I think it's really cool to be able to bring this game to you, because if you haven't heard about any of Family Dog, it's for pretty good reason. And if you have heard of Family Dog, especially this game, you've probably heard about its reputation of being a bad game. But it has still left a really cool impact on Celine and Friends, and I think it's really awesome to be able to bring that experience to people.
Yeah, see, so we didn't realize growing up just how mean the show was because we never saw it. All we knew was this game was available in our little local rental place, so we kept renting it. And you know, you look at the cute little dog sprite there, and we just somehow thought it was this adorable, wholesome thing. And even though now we know better, we've kind of made it one anyway. So we'll talk more about that after the run. But for now, I just want to say we are currently playing this video on emulation for recording the submission. But if you are, for your consideration, if you're considering this game and your event requires actual hardware, we have that. We have an actual SNES. We have an actual Family Dog cart. We can totally set it up and play it that way if you prefer. But for now, let's just get going, shall we?
Absolutely. And go. So we start off in the family home, and it is truly a place of eldritch horrors. All of these rooms are excessively large, excessively full of things that are excessively aggressive toward this poor dog. Cats everywhere, flying magic books, 20 couches and counters, spinning tops, televisions. Oh my goodness. There's so much against this dog, and she just jumped over a tennis ball there that would have cost her time by forcing her to play a minigame, which we can show off later for a donation incentive consideration. This second room is much simpler. We just have some strewn obstacles to jump over with some different intervals. You just can memorize the spacing and jump accordingly and just keep holding forward, keep running all the way through to try to get through quickly. This next room is pretty crucial to play correctly because she's going to use the game's attack, the barking. You only have a set amount of barks that you can use. It's finite. You start the level with a certain amount. If you die, you lose all of your barks, and so that's incredibly punishing, but she can still play this safely. Even if she takes deaths, she can take some checkpoints, and most of the time she won't have to use her barks crucially after she takes deaths. But she played that room very well because she was able to defeat some objects and enemies, and that restores your health in this game. So she was able to keep going straight through and tank some hits because she knew she had enough health. And coming up is a couple of rooms where she isn't going to have to tank as many hits, hopefully, but things are going to get way tighter with the platforming and the movement. We've got so many appliances in this room, and of course, even the toasters want to kill this dog. And more importantly, Billy, the son, is coming at us with a vacuum cleaner. And that's even more dangerous than the fact that the family left all of their 6 dozen stoves on, and all of them have caught fire. And now she's going to do some of the tightest jumps in the game. So, the vacuum cleaner is always a problem. I'm going to be quiet now so she can focus on trying to avoid these perils. This jump coming up at the end is very tight, very tough. That's exactly how you do it, Celine. Let's go. That was the first stage done. That is kind of, in a way, the hardest level of the game. It's the longest level of the game. And now we get to, thankfully, escape the horrors of that house, and we get to be in the pound instead. Yay! What we have to do in this pound is try to free these birds in cages, and Celine is trying to avoid these dogs' attacks along the way. She was struck a couple of times when she was freeing that bird. She was trying to use one of the many robust mechanics in this game and trying to do a flip to give her some more distance and also cover some more ground and jump over the barks. She's going to do it again here and then try and position herself very exactly so that she doesn't get hit by the barks. And she waited a moment there also very smartly to wait for the dog to stop barking so she wouldn't get hit. This level also has jumping fleas, and she's going to try to jump with the fleas after she collects a checkpoint here, in order to defeat them before she lands with the fleas attached to her body. If Jonah lands with a flea attached to him, then you have to sit through an animation where Jonah tries to shake the flea off, and that costs some time. She got all 3 fleas there, so she got a nice health refill, and she's kind of blazing through this inner pound. This is great. One more room to stop in to free another birds so that we can get enough birds to free us from the pound. Awesome, and she even avoided damage. This is very well done. Now we get to the end of this level where the birds are going to break the window, and if she jumps in front of the window, it's going to automatically let her leave the level. Now we're at the outer pound. This has some of the most intense platforming of the game. Very tight jumps here, very tight landings, especially one particular part of this level. She has to land on these very thin ledges here, and now she's going toward a pipe, which is very particular. Or she's going to reset this up. She caught herself very nicely, and she's going to try and make her way to the right and get over to this pipe. Oh, a little bit of jank happened there, but she saved it again. Her momentum was stopped by one of the ledge's tops. It was a little weird, and now here comes the pipe. Very well done. And she's at the end of the stage here, but there's also a checkpoint right at the end that she can be super safe with, because she can take a death from this person at the end, flapping the net at her. But she's going to try to bark at the switch. There she goes. That's the end of the pound. And now we are already in the last level of the game. This is the forest. This first room, Forest 1, she can either try to bark at the spiders and take them out and restore health so she can tank the rest of the hits, or she can also jump over the enemies and try to keep her health that way. Very nice. She should be fine to get through the rest of the room now. And now for one of the most dramatic parts of the game to end off. Forest 2. This is a long, sprawling level, and everything looks the same. In general, you just have to keep moving forward. You have to keep landing on branches, or else you'll fall into a pit and die. And you have to avoid landing in the trunks of the tops of the trees, or else they will send you straight down, which not only removes your progress, but sometimes outright kills you. So, she's going to try to safely move through this forest here. There are some specific routes that she has developed to get through as fast as possible, but she knows that all she has to do is just move straight forward. She got a little unlucky there with that tree just not having any ledges to catch her for a long time, but before she died, she was able to get caught at the last moment by one of the branches, so she can work her way back up.
Literally the last moment there. That green canopy of leaves you see at the down there, that's a bottomless pit. That would have been death.
Yep, so she's just trying to work her way through. This is not the main route, but she's still able to... She's trying to get around the enemies, because you see there are enemies in this stage, and they can cause some trouble. There are some bones around that can restore your health, but once you get into the second part of this level, there are going to be bees after her, and those home in. And so she has to be really careful from here on, because she has no health left. Just moving forward and up at all times. That's the name of this level. Actually, the name of it is Forest 2.
I don't know if it even has a name technically, but...
Yeah, I don't know if any of the levels truly have names. But she's getting some extra height. The bees are going to come into play pretty soon. And as soon as those come in, she's going to have to be careful with them. She's getting a little unlucky with not seeing any branches that have bones to restore her health. Actually, I was wondering if she actually managed to avoid the bees entirely. She got unbelievably unlucky. She went straight into one. And so now she has to start a little bit behind. I don't think that starts her back all the way at the beginning. Even if you take a death in Forest 2, it's not that punishing. Not nearly as punishing as it is in the house. Because again, this is one of the simpler levels. Unlike those super tight jumps at the beginning of the game, unlike if you die and lose all your barks early on, this is just, okay, I know all I have to do is keep going forward, keep going up. There's a bone that restores her health, so she should be a little bit safer with her health from now on. You see, this game can be played quite marathon safely, even though she took a... Oops. She went into the wrong trunk there, and so you see what happens. That takes her way down, and it even popped her out to the left. So just add insult to injury. So that's what happens if you enter the wrong trunk. So that's another thing that you have to try to avoid. You do have to enter one of the trunks eventually at the end of the level. And you'll know the trunk that you have to enter because it has a sign next to it. It's only the very last tree of the level that has the correct trunk that you actually want to go into. But you see, even when things go wrong in this level, you can just reorient yourself and keep going. And it can be very easy to get lost because everything looks the same, but she's doing a good job of still plugging away.
This is about the nightmare scenario for someone who's trying to run this game, like, on stage. Like, this run right here is what I would have nightmares about having if we were to get on stage and, oh no, what if the run ends up like this? Like, just about everything that could possibly go wrong in Forest 2 is going wrong right now. But we're still doing it. Like, even in the worst case, we will still make it.
Absolutely. And she's getting pretty close here. There's probably going to be one more large gap between the second to last tree and the last tree. This should be it right here. And here come the bees swooping in, joining the party. Hey, I want to kill the dog too, because everything in the entire world wants to. That was not the last tree. Celine was correct in me being incorrect, and she knew to keep going forward. She is a master of the game. She is like the queen of Family Dog. She completely renaissanced this game after finding it on speedrun.com, and she took the world record down by several minutes, I think, and that's time! Yay, we're back with our loving, hating family.
You know how I knew? The music.
Yep.
The only way you can really navigate in Forest 2 is to memorize, like, how high up the music goes in pitch versus, like, okay, when it sounds about, like, on this key, that's about when the final tree should be. And that is not easy because I am not musically gifted at all. But I made it work. I knew that was not it yet because the music wasn't high enough yet. But that's
Yes.
Family Dog.
That's Family Dog, and Forest 2, you see, is like, I mentioned it as being a dramatic ending stage, and it is just so tense, and the music is part of that. It keeps gradually increasing in pitch all the way through. You have all those big jumps that you can't really see where you're going, you just have to kind of, every single jump is like a leap of faith, and so I feel like the crowd is just watching with bated breath with every single jump. It's definitely kind of like a grand finale type stage.
It's a good combination for if you're considering this game for your marathon, because on one hand, that stage looks so tense and feels so tense. Believe me, I was scared out of my mind when I was doing that, and I lost the route and I got lost there, and everything that could have gone wrong did. Like I said, that was the nightmare scenario. I was living it. And as far as like actual world record times, that was awful. Like, world record is 5:24. That was what, 9:28 according to the timer there, like almost double that. And yet, even when everything that could go wrong goes wrong, we beat it in under 10 minutes. We made it to the end. You know, we clutched it out. So it's one of those things that looks intense and things can go wrong. And there's a lot that the audience can, like, be waiting on with bated breath, as they said, like either cheering or, oh man, or, you know, like, let's see if she gets this. But even if it doesn't work out, it still works out. You know, it's one of those kind of games.
Absolutely, and I'm really glad that I was able to have it brought into my life by Celine, because I really enjoyed speedrunning it. It's kind of a solid game to play all things said, even though it does have that reputation of being a bad game and it could be in an awful games block or something. But once you get used to the controls, which do have some jank elements here and there, they're actually incredibly robust, and once you master them, you can get around all the jank, and it feels pretty darn good to be able to play with.
There are, like, I'll start another run here because I want to show off the tennis ball we were talking about anyway. So this is a long jump, right? This is a high jump, right? So, like, you hold forward to long jump, you hold up to high jump. You can hold both and do a diagonal long high jump, which is like a long jump, but you go higher. There's like only 1 or 2 rooms in the entire game you need to do that. The main one is the vacuum cleaner, where you need a diagonal long high jump to make sure that you're in the air just long enough to not get eaten by the vacuum cleaner when you land. But, like, someone put that in the game, you know? This is... You would look at this kind of game and you'd think of this as like an afterthought of a game. Like some just kind of licensed shovelware, someone just kind of farted this game out. But like someone made that, and someone made this mini game, and this is what happens when you collect the ball.
And this could be a very cute donation incentive because you get to see Jonah getting the ball in his mouth and looking all happy. It's just so great. But the game, of course, quickly becomes unfair because of course it does. And every single throw you see becomes far faster, and so she has to kind of cheat over to the right before the throw happens, and then she has to try to run as soon as she's allowed. If she tries to go too early, it doesn't let her. That was absolutely perfect. That was domination. I believe that's the entire minigame complete. Absolutely perfectly done. It's a very quick little thing to add in, and she can do some celebratory flippies. It's a nice little short donation incentive for people to be able to enjoy a little cute game of fetch, and it doesn't add that much time to the marathon.
Yeah, so if we get donations met before the run even starts, we can just collect the ball. That was that tennis ball that we avoided in the very first room in the game. So if you're doing this as a speed run where you're going for time, you want to avoid the ball because you can save a lot of time just by not doing that stage, obviously. But we can collect the ball just to show off that stage as part of the run if donations are met before the run starts. If they're met during the run, we can just start over, and again, the ball's in like the very first room in the game. It takes no time at all to just get right back there and show it off like we just did. But for now, I will just say, yeah, this is one of those games, it's got a reputation. And I think everyone's got a game like this. In our case, it's Family Dog, where it's one of those games that's critically panned, it's got that reputation, but for whatever reason, it just spoke to you as a child. It was the one your local rental shop had. It was the one that you grew up with for one reason or another. It's your game. And even if it's not a great game, like, yeah, I could see this being put in like a Kusoge block or something, absolutely. I wouldn't even be offended, but I will, make this little soapbox at the end here, where everyone's Kusoge is someone's, in our friend circle, we call it's someone's family dog. Like, my family dog is Family Dog. Family Dog is that game that it's your game, and gosh darn it, you love it anyway, and everyone's got a game like that, and they're to be celebrated. We love our family dogs in this world, and speaking of which, shout outs to our actual family dogs, Ringo and Munchkin. And yeah, thank you so much for this, for considering this. We hope this fits in nicely with your block.
And shoutouts to our family dog, Loki. And thank you again so much, Celine and friends, Woodlings, for having me along. It's so awesome to be here. Best of luck with everything, and best of luck to all of you putting on the event. Thank you all so much.
Yes, have a wonderful event. We will be happy to participate if you would like to have us. Otherwise, just have a wonderful event. Take care, everyone, and thank you again.